The sad reality of attempting to transform your life is expecting your friends to come with you, when the truth is most of them simply won't care or they'll mock you, because a lot of them will feel threatened by your attempt at transformation. Growth can make other people insecure. It doesn't matter how well-meaning you are. It doesn't matter that you think it's the right thing to do. Others won't see it that way. Your attempt at changing your life will reflect your friends' insecurity in their own habits and their own problems. Try to convince your friends to join you on this. You'll say, hey bro, let's go to the gym or whatever. And they'll be like, I don't really care about the gym, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, that's fine. And, they might not text you as often, or they might not ask how you're doing, or they might not try to set up appointments and hangouts with you as often. Because it's difficult. If you change yourself fundamentally, it's hard to not talk about what you're proud of in the presence of your friends. Like, these are supposed to be your friends. These are supposed to be people that you share wins with. But how do you do that if you know that when you talk about your wins that it'll just be dismissed? And it even brings you to a place of, I must be doing something wrong, right? It's not an easy thing. You might get comments like, "Oh, you're so tame now. You're so boring. You don't drink, you don't smoke anymore. Why don't you come party with us? Why don't you play games with us, bro?" And they might even guilt trip you. They might even tell you that you're lame or you're gay or whatever. Unfortunately, something I realize is that a lot of people will support you until you show signs of surpassing them. And that could be me being arrogant, but, I've never liked to think that way. I've taken self-improvement seriously twice, and it scared me away the first time I did it, because I was like, wow, I must be doing something wrong. This shit must be weird. This is not okay. But there's nothing weird about, trying to make yourself above average. People will label you as toxic, and they'll say that you lack self-acceptance and that you need to get therapy and whatever. But the reality is there are some people out there that just don't want to be fucking average. Going on a journey like this, you're going to be susceptible to feeling alone, to feeling like not everybody's going to understand you. Not everybody's going to support you. Even your own family won't support you. A lot of people just require results. They don't want to see the awkward hair length. Nobody wants to see this, right? Nobody wants to see this. Nobody wants to see you attempt to go through the phase of putting minoxidil in your hair and using hair growth oils and whatever, and then suddenly, oh wow, he has really nice hair. They just want, everybody's attached to immediate results. Nobody wants to see you when you're skinny. They just want to see you when you're ripped. Right? But then they get all confused when you're in the process of doing that, and it just sucks. Because it means in order for you to not face ridicule, in order to preserve your own mental health, you have to do it alone. And if you're lucky enough to find a friend or a group of individuals that are on the same path as you are, great. You're the 0.01%. I think the hardest thing, and honestly, I didn't really want to say this in this video because I don't want to hurt my friends' feelings or anything like that. But, there are some people you're going to realize that they're probably not going to stay in your life. You kind of have to think of self-improvement like climbing a mountain, right? Not everybody's going to have the right gear. Not everybody's going to have the right mindset. Not everybody's going to be as dedicated as you are to climbing this mountain. So they might, go with you for a little bit and then fall off. And it's rare that they'll be like, yeah, man, we'll cheer you on and we'll be here when you come down. I don't know of a lot of stories like that. I don't know of a lot of people who I look up to who have really made themselves exceptional have a story like that. I think sometimes growth is about letting things go to be open to something new. So then you're probably thinking like, well, what do? I don't want to feel alone forever. I don't think you will be alone forever. I think that'd be an impractical way to think of it. You're not going to be alone forever. As long as you're working hard and you're producing results for yourself, you'll have your people. And you should be okay with the isolation. It should sharpen you. There is a epidemic of loneliness, but I think it's simply because people don't know how to engage with it. People don't know how to be in tune with themselves when they're alone. I remember this story when I was working in a rock crushing plant. There was this guy, and I remember I'd finished my lunch break, and I'd come downstairs, and he'd already be at his station, all prepared, ready to go, setting up all his samples, right? And you're probably asking, like, what's the point of this story? Well, I remember talking to him in the lunch break, and I said, hey, man, like, you're a really hard worker. I noticed that you're here on the floor before everybody else is. And he said something like, wow, you noticed that? And I was like, yeah, I did notice that. Does nobody know that you do that? He's like, well, no, nobody's commented before you have. And what he told me, actually, I kept with me for the rest of my life. He said that I don't try and get other people to do what I'm doing. I can just only hope to be an example. I think the moral here is that you should be the same. You should never try and convince people to do what you're doing. You can only hope to be an example. And you can cope and you can delude yourself and you can think, yeah, I can change them, I can fix them, I can bring my friends to do this and blah, 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 but that'll never work. You should not try and force change on anyone or anything except yourself. That is the only thing that is in your control. And if you're on a similar journey, I want to remind you that you're not alone and that I encourage you to tell yourself that you're resilient. Tell yourself that you're strong. Tell yourself that you're smart and capable and willing to do what needs to be done. Because at the end of the day, that is how you get things done, and most people will not understand it. Most people will think you're toxic or arrogant or delusional, whatever. The only way that you get anything done is if you delude yourself to the point where you believe you're him. And that's cringe, whatever, right? People might hear that and be like, oh, toxic self-help. Who cares? Don't think about that. Believe you're the hero. We need people like that. It's a grim world out there, and we need people who believe that they're capable. You're not crazy for feeling alone right now. You're just early in the process. Keep going. And if this message hit home, drop a comment. Tell me what you're going through. I'm trying to build a community here, and there's a place for you in it. And remember, stay strong, stay hungry. Peace.